I'm a wife and girl mom of a 2-year-old. I love coffee, cupcakes, and spending time with my little family. My name is Barbara, and I'm a miraculous mama.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Miraculous Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Joy, and we believe in empowering women through storytelling and education. We are in our fatherhood series right now, and this week we have on Doug Hehner. He and his wife, Jamie Otis, just welcomed their new baby boy at a home birth, and he is going to share with us his side of the story and how Jamie's a labor and delivery nurse, and their first baby was in the hospital. And then with everything going on with COVID and craziness, they decided to make some changes to their birth plan and just some fears and anxieties that came with that. But the experience that they had and the bonding over it is amazing. So we're going to hear from him in just a little bit. Before we get into the interview, since it is our Father's Day series, I'm talking about sperm health. So male infertility accounts for about 40% of infertility out there. So this is a two-way street. The burden has been on women for so long, and now they just continue to come out with more and more research on sperm and links that could be affecting your fertility. So today we are going to talk about marijuana use and sperm. So there is tons of growing research showing that excessive marijuana use is linked to male infertility and possibly even birth or pregnancy complications. Excessive marijuana use could increase risk of miscarriage in women. But that's when the man's smoking it. So when the man's doing excessive marijuana use, his partner has a higher chance of having a miscarriage. But there's still so much research coming out on it. And it's really fascinating because with marijuana as well, there's a study that shows that it can increase levels of sperm, but only if it is smoked in moderation. So there's a cool article from Harvard that I'm going to link in the show notes. I'm also going to link an article from fatherly.com that talks about it, because they say that marijuana in small doses can help combat erectile dysfunction and boost female libido, which makes it easier to have sex and therefore easier to conceive. But smoking too much is linked to infertility and other possible effects during the pregnancy and even in the health of your child later on in life. So it's definitely something to look into if you are trying to conceive and you're struggling and your partner smokes a lot of marijuana. I would look into decreasing that and read some of these studies because it's something that's rapidly growing, right? With the legalization throughout the country and making it okay for recreational use, it's something that people are kind of picking up. So basically, everything we do comes with a side effect or a consequence. And just like how I shared last week, men who drink a lot while trying to conceive, their kids are 44% more likely to have a congenital heart defect. How crazy is that? That's such a huge number. So definitely men, if you're listening, you are 50% of the DNA, your contribution and health matters so much in your future child. And women, if you're listening, tell your men that their health matters and for the future health of your children. And on that note, I know that I had shared before that Vito and I used a male prenatal because just like women, we don't get all the nutrients that we need from our food during pregnancy. That's why it's so important to take prenatals, even while you're trying to conceive. I've been taking the ritual prenatals for a long time, and I absolutely love them. And we don't get everything from our diets. So the same is true for men. they're not getting all the vital nutrients to make their sperm the healthiest that can be from their food. So me being the the researcher and psycho that I am when it comes to health and supplements and things like that, I made Vito take a male prenatal before we started trying to conceive. And we used NutriVerve. I don't know if you guys remember, but the ladies came on the podcast last fall and we had a great conversation with them, and they are giving a Father's Day discount out. So you can go to NutriVerve. That's NutriVerve.com. You can look them up on Instagram as well. They put like sperm health facts out there, and they're giving a 25% discount right now with the code MM25. So definitely check them out. It's just as important for your man to be on a prenatal as it is for you if you're trying to conceive or pregnant. So, yeah, I love talking about the sperm health stuff. I think just because women carry so much of the burden in infertility, then also pregnancy, motherhood, just we have so much responsibility and so much falls on us, but it is a team effort. Everything is. And you have to learn to be supportive of your partners and to support each other. And part of that is health. Part of that is, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is for you. But it is a big thing when it comes to trying to conceive. It does take two to tango, and the health of both partners matters. Without further ado though, I'm going to go ahead and grab Doug Hehner for you guys. All right, welcome to the show, Doug. Everyone, I have Doug Hehner here, and he is a new dad. So happy Father's Day and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're so excited that you're here. So I know a lot of people have followed you and your wife Jamie's story from meeting on Love at First Sight and seeing your marriage blossom into becoming a family, and you guys being so willing and open to share a lot of your lives with people. So a lot of the listeners know who you are, know who your wife is, and have been following your journey. And I know everyone's so excited because you guys just had your baby. Quarantine times are crazy. But thank you.
Very crazy.
Oh my gosh. And just thank you so much for taking the time to come on today.
Yeah, no, happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I would love for you, like I said, I feel like most people know who you are, but just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I was one of the weirdos that signed up for Married at First Sight. A lot of people will call it brave, some people crazy. I always find that it kind of borders that line of brave and crazy. But when I initially, and I had been someone that was going through different relationships and nothing really stuck. I was falling in love with some people, but it always seemed to just fall short somewhere. Married at First Sight came along just at a perfect time when I had just broken up with somebody. And I said, you know what, this is too weird of a thing. So let me go for it, because there's got to be some reason why this is now coming into my life. And so once, and if anybody hasn't seen or heard of Married at First Sight, experts match you up with someone based on your psychological profile, assessments, interviews, things like that. And we were on the first season, Jamie and I, and we got married. And the first time I saw her was at the end of the aisle at our wedding day, which was beautifully awkward. And I will always remember that as. And we got everything on video, and it aired. We've been on, I think it's 5 different seasons now for the Married at First Sight franchise, which we put so much out there. Like you said, Jamie and I are kind of open books online, and people have followed us since we've known each other, and they've been with us since day one. So we kind of kept that line going. And it is funny when you see people that'll recognize you out. It's just that they really feel like they know you, and they do, because we put everything out online and social media and everything. But a little over 2 years ago, Jamie and I had been trying to conceive for quite a while. I think the first time it took us about 18 months, or maybe it was this last time, but suffered a couple losses. We lost our son, Jonathan, around 19 weeks, which was devastating and terrible. And but then we followed up with a beautiful baby girl, Henley Grace, who is now going on 3 years old come August. And yes, we just gave birth to our son on the 13th, which was weird. We opted for a home birth. We didn't initially decide on having a home birth. In fact, Jamie and I would have never thought of a home birth. Jamie being a registered nurse, labor and delivery nurse, she's always had it in her mind that we would do it at a hospital and she would have an epidural, always, even through the training. And then, everything that happened with the COVID-19, and we were down in Florida just looking for a second home. And all of a sudden, it seemed like over a weekend, the whole country and world had changed, where we're like, okay, well, we got to get back to New Jersey now. We got to get back home. We don't want to get stuck in Florida. And then, you hear about the hospitals, and we opted for a home birth just because we felt that was the safer option, it was terrifying, honestly. Liz, it was absolutely terrifying to make that decision. And it turned out to be, and I'm sure you have a lot of experience with this too, but it turned out to be such a magical and memorable experience. Just being in the comfort of our own home, our own surroundings, and then finally hearing our baby boy Hendrix's cry, and him being healthy. It was just phenomenal. But now we're navigating self-quarantined and being stuck at home as a family of 4. So all new territory.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing all of that. All right, we're going to take a quick break from the episode so I can share with you an amazing supplement company that I've found. So I know at the beginning I said that I'm like a psycho researcher and obsessed with supplements. But that's because I know we don't get the things that we need from our food. And Global Healing is such an amazing company that I'm so excited that I found and to be partnering with to share with you guys this information. They are a family-owned business, and all of their products are ethically sourced, packaged with recycled glass bottles, and manufactured in one of the most eco-friendliest facilities in the entire industry. All the ingredients have been trusted for decades for purity and potency, with no binders, fillers, or toxic compounds, which is actually harder to find out there than you know. So I'm going to talk to you guys. I mean, I love a lot of their supplements, but I'm going to talk to you about one really quick, and that is the Sundrex D3. Did you know that about 1 billion people worldwide are vitamin D deficient? And they don't even know that. And some of the signs are mood swings, depression, lack of energy, getting sick. And so a lot of people think that this could be contributed to something else, even bone and muscle pain. But a lot of people are vitamin D3 deficient. And Global Healing Sundrex D3 is a liquid formula that provides high-quality vitamin D3 that's been extracted from nutrient-dense plants, actually, I don't know how to pronounce this word, known as lichens. But it's vegan and it's the same form that the human body produces. So it's really important to not have synthetic forms of things, because your body doesn't accept it and absorb it as much as it would if it's actually in a human body form that we produce. Then our body accepts it as its own, is able to use it. It has nearly 300% more biologically active than D2 is, which is what you're going to find in many other supplements. Sundrex D3 is a liquid formula with a sweet, mild flavor, goes down super easy, and it boosts your immunity, guys. D3 is so important for your immunity and in pregnancy, and it is something that I personally take every day. Like I said, I love so many of their products. Their probiotic, which I'm holding in my hand right now, is so amazing. And I'm not going to talk to you about it right now, but I will next week and on my Instagram, because it's such an awesome product. And this is a company that I truly believe in. And as a new customer, of Global Healing, you will receive 15% off your first order when you use code MAMAS at the checkout. Just go to globalhealing.com/mamas and enter code MAMAS at the checkout for 15% off your first order. All the products are backed by their year to love it guarantee. Love it, or you can send your bottles back empty or full for 100% refund. And they always offer free shipping in the US and Canada. But I guarantee you're going to love it. So let me know what products you order and love from them, because I'm seriously so excited about this company. Check out Global Healing, guys. Now back to the episode. I would love to kind of go back to, so when you guys, fertility can be such a hard journey, and we hear, especially like on this podcast, we talk with a lot of women about struggling with that. But like as a man, how is it different? Because I know I had a really early on miscarriage, and I was talking with my husband about it. And for him, he was like, I mean, there's really nothing you can do. Like, you keep trying. It obviously wasn't as emotional for him. But I know, like with your son, Jonathan, like at 19 weeks, like you've established the heart rate, the heartbeat, you've, are already like developing a bond. And how do you, I guess, navigate as like being Jamie's rock and supporter and like dealing with your own emotions with loss?
Yeah. And it's tough from a guy's point of view, because we don't have that physical connection, and we can kind of connect emotionally. You see your wife's belly going, you get excited for every single ultrasound and doctor visit. And it's almost like everything that's happened in my life since Married at First Sight. It's just like, one day things are great and normal, and then the next day they're just changed. And that's what it seemed like as soon as we announced publicly that we were pregnant with our son. It was like the next day we had a doctor appointment and found out that it wasn't a viable pregnancy and he would never survive. So that you kind of, and I always handle tragedies where I don't necessarily bottle it up, but for some reason I'm able to kind of just place that off to the side and think about it and, mourn over it, but I'm not so overly sad or crying or, stuck in a corner, things like that, which I think helped Jamie a lot in the sense that, I was there for her. I think in the beginning, and I think we were maybe 2.5 years in when this happened. I think in the beginning she saw it as me not caring, but it was just because we didn't really fully know each other and how we would handle a loss like that. Mm-hmm. So it was, the hardest part was that we went to the hospital to actually Jamie have the procedure, and it turned out that they had some complications in the emergency room or the operating room. So she had to deliver Jonathan, which turned out to be kind of there was a silver lining to it, because we were able to hold him, and see him and kind of say our goodbyes and get his footprints where, if it was the other way around, or if, the operation had happened, we would have never had that moment. So it actually turns it into some, he was actually a person then, and we can, mourn and grieve over him. He was someone that we held. But from a guy's point of view, it's, the tie and the feeling and everything else. It's, I didn't have the same connection that Jamie did. And the best thing that I could have said to Jamie was, how can I help? And what do you need from me? How, what's going to help you get through this? And a lot of the time it was just me just sitting there and either putting my arm around her or holding her hand. And I was still going to work after a couple days. But then, we kept trying and trying, and I like the trying part. I'm a really big fan of the trying to have a baby part. That's my favorite part about the whole thing. Jamie always seems to be in the mood based on whatever app she's on. saying that she's fertile.
Right.
And then, but I've always wanted to be a dad. I've always wanted kids. The first one was tough because, as a dad, I think you always want, your son, you always want a baby boy, or at least that was for me. And then, you find out it's a girl, and then you prepare or try to prepare as much as you can to bring this girl into the world and set up the room. And it was really fun setting up, her crib and decorating and really getting ready for her arrival and going to the hospital and being able to hold her and touch her. And I think I just stared at her and held her for 3 days straight, as much as Jamie would allow, just because she kept doing the same thing. So it was, they always say it's what the hardest part is that the doctors say it's a fluke or it's just something that happens, which is very weird to hear because you want something to blame. You almost want something to blame it on. You always want, you always want something that, okay, we need to fix this or we need to do this different. When they just say it's just a fluke, it's like, it made it tough for me to get excited for any pregnancy that we've had since. And, we've had 2 other losses and a medical miscarriage, or I forget what it was called, but, we went through a couple losses. And even with my son Hendrix now, like I really didn't get excited until, month 7 and month 8, when you were actually feeling them kick and move. And even then I stayed guarded, until we got a chance to meet him. And then you kind of just that whole sigh of relief. But yeah, from a guy's point of view, it's I hope that I was there emotionally and physically for Jamie, which I think I was, and we got through it and we became stronger from that.
Yeah. You guys seem like, such a solid couple, and just also very like, I don't know, like also understanding, man, this sucks and you like have to grieve through it, but you can tell like you guys just like never lost hope, No.
Yeah. And I think that took both of us, we both really wanted children. We both were ready to start a family, and we weren't gonna, we were gonna make sure that was possible one way or another. And we were fortunate that everything went well with Henley, and same thing with Hendrix. The in-between time was difficult, but, yeah, we've gone through a lot, and we've had to fast forward a lot of the foundation part of, becoming friends and then getting to really know each other. And, it's tough when you meet as strangers, or when you get married as strangers. I would imagine it's probably the same as some arranged marriages, but you don't get a chance to go through the grief part together. Because the first time that's going to happen is while you're married. You don't have those little trials and things like that as you're going through the relationship. So it's really just figuring out how each other feels, what each other thinks, and what comforts each other. And that part was, we had to communicate that a lot. And I think even from the show Married at First Sight, having the experts available taught me how to communicate, taught us how to communicate and listen. And that's been the biggest part for us.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to take a quick break, and I need to ask, where are all of my pregnant and postpartum mamas at? Because I have an amazing brand to talk to you about today, and that is Kindred Bravely. So I recently, well, not really recently, I haven't been able to fit into my regular leggings for quite some time. I was trying to force it, but they were like way too tight. So I started looking for something that I could wear, because I wear leggings every single day. And that's how I discovered Kindred Bravely. It's such an amazing company for pregnancy and postpartum clothing, nursing bras. They have so many amazing options on there. And I love how it got started because one of the co-founders, Deanna, she was nursing her 1-year-old and couldn't find comfortable and cute pajamas. So she decided to design her own. And she first designed their Davy pajamas, and they're still a customer favorite. I actually just ordered a pair, which I love. I have to be honest, I don't wear pajamas that often, but I actually wear these ones because they're really comfortable. And then they got their name. Their name Kindred came from moms having to stick together, and bravely is because becoming a mother is courageous, and it does take bravery. I got their Louisa maternity and postpartum support leggings, which again, like I said, I'm a huge fan of. I wear them all of the time. And what I also loved on their website, and I ordered, is they have like nighties for pregnancy and postpartum as well. So I ordered a nightie off of there, which I'm super excited about, the Lucille maternity and nursing nightgown. What's nice is you can wear it in maternity, but then you can also use it for nursing as well. And it's just like, I don't know, something to feel a little sexy in here and there, because I feel like that is so important in pregnancy. I absolutely love Kindred Bravely. Their clothes are really comfortable, and one of their core values is generosity. They frequently give back any way that they can, and they recently just gave $10,000 to the National Black Midwives Alliance, which is amazing. So we want to support companies like this. Go check out kindredbravely.com, and you will get 20% off your order with code Miraculous20. That's kindredbravely.com, and use code Miraculous20 for 20% off. Now back to the episode. So having your daughter then, cause you guys gave birth in a hospital, going into it, I guess, so you're about to become a father, and like, what is going through your mind? Like, how was the birthing experience for you?
I mean, I didn't feel any pain, as she was giving birth. So, but I just remember being so excited, like, even when she started to say, okay, I think I'm having contractions. I think that this is going to be the day. I just remember being so overly excited, and so pumped to get to the hospital to meet my daughter. And so having her, and it was kind of weird too, because my brother had a son a couple of years before. So, just talking to my friends, all my friends have kids that are older, much older, so you kind of have a chance to get a sense of what parenting is. And I'm so close with my mom and dad. So, and I kind of model my parenting around them, because I felt they were just great parents and people, and they're my favorite people in the world. I found comfort in knowing that everybody said every child's different and everything is going to be different. You have to just wait and see. So it was like, instead of being overly prepared, I just prepared for the unknown. So it wasn't like I was going crazy on trying to do this, do that. Everybody says each pregnancy is different. So I took it as, okay, well, I don't need too much advice from anybody. Then I'll just kind of figure it out as we go. And, Jamie's so good with kids, and, she's always been a role model to her sisters and her nieces and nephews and things. So we prepared as much as we could, but knew that it was going to be a journey. And we really took to parenting, and I love being a dad.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then now with your son, Hendrix, it was crazy watching, because so I'm pregnant right now. I'm not due till the end of August.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm not due till the end of August. So we still have like so many things can change in the next few months, like as far as like the quarantine and the hospital policies. Right now, my hospital has some really strict, crazy policies. And, and so, I mean, my husband and I did interview a home birth midwife, and we've talked about so many different options and plans, and like what was, I guess, cause Jamie was how far along when you guys decided to switch?
So we were in March, April, May. So she was pretty much going on 7 months when this all started to happen. we had left for Florida and stayed in Florida for February and March, and we were supposed to stay till the end of March. Fast forward to May 13th is when we had our son Hendrix. When we left, this COVID-19 wasn't a thing back in February. As it gets towards the end of February, then it starts to pick up, and then we get into March, and then it's like, holy, this is bad. And then we started to hear more and more about the hospitals and how contagious this is, and hospitals are overrun, and they don't have enough protective gear and things so we had time to kind of feel like the hospital may not be the best place to go. The original thought of maybe we should consider a home birth, I was against. I was completely against it. I said, no, I feel very uncomfortable having a baby at our house. We're not medical people. There's no way that we're prepared for having a home birth. What if something goes wrong and we have to go to the hospital, which are probably concerns that everybody would have when saying, okay, well, your birth plan was going to a hospital and now you're considering a home birth. So it took a lot for me to get over that sort of hurdle. And all it really was talking to the midwife and kind of interviewing some midwives. And the one that we chose, Dina, she said, here, check out this documentary. Let me know what you think. And you find out that it's a little bit more common. It's not so common, but it is common that this happens. People do and elect for home births or birthing centers. So by the time that we initially started to think about a home birth, it was more along the lines of, okay, the hospital may not be safe. We don't know what would happen to Jamie or how it would affect a newborn. It wasn't. And then the hospital started saying, okay, well, they may not allow the husband to be in the hospital for it. And you're not allowed to have people come. And if I do go, I wouldn't be allowed to leave and come back. So then it's like, well, what do we do with our daughter? Do we give our daughter to my parents? And they're at risk. And, what happens if anything, we have to wait 2 weeks to see my daughter. Like, there was just so many negatives that were kind of placed into the having a birth at a hospital bucket. And then once I started to feel more comfortable about having a home birth and speaking to the midwife, finding out that Jamie was a low-risk pregnancy, it all started to make sense, where it was more like, okay, I understand that I may not be able to go, and I'd be fine with that because it's the safety of, the hospital professionals and the people on the front line and the safety for everyone. It almost turned into, well, if Jamie's not a high risk, if, she's perfectly capable and healthy enough to have a birth at home, why would we want to take up a hospital bed for someone that would need it? If we didn't have to go to the hospital, that came once we started to feel more comfortable with having a home birth. But it was a fast-forwarded type decision because we had to make that choice, within a couple weeks, whether we were going to go one way or the other, because then we have to get a midwife. Then we have to, make sure that the midwife has openings or doesn't have too many people that she's seeing at the time to where we can have it at home. And, the more you research and the more you talk to different people and groups and hear stories, and it becomes clear that I just became more comfortable with the idea, and so did Jamie. And it was really the coolest part was just being able to have our son in a pool next to our bed. And then after a couple hours, the midwife says, okay, you guys are good to go, and I'm going to go, and call me if anything. And then by the nighttime, we were just all laying in our bed, just looking at our son and having the daughter in our bed and looking at the house, which was a mess. And then, now you have a family of 4 all of a sudden. I don't know if that, I feel like I just went off on a tangent there. I don't know if that answers your question or if that was your question.
No, yeah, you definitely did answer it. I feel like that's the biggest appeal to me with a home birth is like, I just want to give birth and sleep in my bed. Like, I want to sleep in my bed that night.
Nice. Yeah, it was so, I remember the couch that I had to sleep in the hospital was like the worst. Not only that, but you're waking up every couple hours to help, your Jamie breastfeed. It's so much easier just to roll over in your bed, and get water and do this and do that. And, you almost realize how like unnecessary a lot of the hospital process is, now experiencing this home birth. I'm not sure if we would do another home birth. I always took the position of I'll let Jamie decide because it's her body and it's what she has to go through. And I've never looked at my wife like she was a superhero more than watching her go through these last couple of weeks of having a home birth, not being medicated, taking charge and getting her mindset to, I'm going to go through this. My baby's going to go through this with me, and pushing everything out. And she's amazing. I don't understand how she did it. I still don't get how you can push 9 pounds out of your hoo-ha.
Yeah.
And then, it doesn't make sense. 9 pounds, 4 ounces. That's, it just makes me feel like I can never complain about anything that hurts again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of true.
but it was honestly it was so relaxing and peaceful. There wasn't nurses that were like charging in and making you do this and talking fast. Like the midwife that we had really explained everything to us, and it made me part of the process, which took my mind off a lot of the worry and the nervousness, because I became part of the team at that point. And Jamie needed me there, which was amazing, because we were able to share this together from start to finish, and really soak in the moment towards the end of that night of like, wow, we just did this. Now we have 2 kids
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question, is like, how do you think like your supporting role was different in the first birth versus the second?
So my role in the first birth was just to kind of be there, hold my wife's hand when needed. But she, having an epidural, she was going through some pain, but nothing like what she went through with the home birth. She worked at the hospital at the time. She worked at that hospital that she delivered at. So she was comfortable with all the people that were there and the staff and everything. So my role was just to really be there, and being our first child, just really taking in every moment. For the home birth and going into this, it was an unknown for the both of us. You can read as much as you can watch videos, you can read blogs, you can see stories, and you don't know what it's going to be like until you're actually in it. And once we started to fill up the tub, and once she started to really have contractions and starting to keel over, my role was to try to make my wife as comfortable as possible. Breathe, be the calm person in the room. Don't look worried, don't look scared for my wife. And I really do think that helped calm her down a bit, to focus on her breathing and focus on the fact that, the contractions and the pain that she's going through. Hendrix is probably going through that same thing, and, they're in together. I'm there to just calm everything down and say, no, everything's going great. This is all right. Everything is perfect. Just breathe. I'm here for you. And, it turned out to be, she went into labor, started having contractions, and it almost seemed like within 2 hours, we were meeting our son. So it was totally different. It was a totally different experience, obviously, but my role was completely opposite from one to the other.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, each birth is always going to be different no matter what, each baby is decides to do their own thing on their way coming Earthside. And so there's always going to be something different for sure.
Have you done a home birth before?
Yes. I have. I've done several.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely
have you had your own?
No. I'm pregnant with,
okay.
Technically, I guess, like our second kid, but I'll give birth to our first kid in the next few months. Yeah. So, but I'm very familiar with it. A lot of people in my family do home births, and like I was first exposed to it. My sister wasn't planning a home birth, but ended up having one because of, she ended up getting a midwife and doing it at home just because her doctor messed up her medical records and then her insurance dropped her. It was like a crazy thing. And they're like, we can't pay $30,000 to have a baby in a hospital. Like, what are we going to do?
Wow.
So they interviewed home birth midwives and ended up finding this lady who, her name's Marvy, and I love her. And my sister delivered 3 of her kids at home with her. And so my first time seeing a home birth was 12 years ago when my nephew was born. And I just, it was my first time seeing a birth in general, but it was like definitely life-changing. And that's where I got passion for doing birth work. And it's been cool too, because I've had repeat clients where like I was with them with the first one in the hospital, and then they did the second one at home, and I got to be there for that. And
you're also you're a doula, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we didn't have one of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was a doula, but
you were her doula.
A substitute doula.
So it's a really cool experience. Whether it's a hospital birth or a home birth, I'm always in tears at the end of it,
Yeah.
So.
It's totally different. It really is different now with this virus. I don't think that if we are a low risk pregnancy again, depending on how this happens, whatever happens with the virus, I feel like a home birth was just so much more peaceful and relaxing afterwards. Our son seems like amazingly calm. Like the kid just never really cries. He just grunts a lot, but so calm, and it was just amazing all around. And, the recovery for Jamie was a little rough. She was placed on bed rest for a couple of days immediately afterwards, but everything turned out to be great. And every doctor visit that we've had since has really been amazing. And, so now it's just as a dad trying to find out the perfect balance between time, between my job, Jamie, Henley, my daughter, and my son, Hendrix, and trying to make sure that my daughter's not left out, and making sure the house is done. And, it's just, that's the part that we're still figuring out, or that I'm still trying to figure out is the time management of all of this now.
Yeah, for sure. So much changes. Just adding, you think adding an extra person, not a big deal, but it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Especially because now my daughter she can show emotions. Like she's a real person now that can say sentences and tell us how she feels. And for her being stuck at home, we don't necessarily have a schedule where she'd be going to school. We try to do little learning things throughout the day, but it's been really difficult. And for now, I don't connect, or I haven't connected as much with Hendrix this time around as I did with Henley. I'm not sure why, but I've been really focusing on Henley and making sure that, while the baby's being fed, that, she doesn't feel left out. She's included in everything. And our relationship, I feel like, has gotten even stronger, my daughter and I. But just because now Hendrix can't really do much other than eat and sleep and go to the bathroom, and the kid poops more than I've ever seen. I mean, every single diaper has poop in it. Every single one.
And do you do diaper duty?
Yes. Diaper duty and burping duty. That's where I come in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I would love, I guess, just to go back to when you had your daughter. How did you transition from like just being a husband and, basically you have no other priorities besides, like work, Jamie, whatever, to now having this new being a dad and then like also keep maintaining your marriage?
Sure. Yeah. And that, that part's always work in progress, being a husband and, having moments with your wife and working on your relationship while managing a newborn. And in the beginning, it's, when you don't have, when you're just having your first child, it's a learning process for the both of you. So you're figuring things out together. For us, it really made us stronger as a team. Individually, I think from being just a husband to then being a father, my mindset just completely changed, which was kind of overnight, where every thought, everything that I was doing was in the interest of my wife and my daughter, where, I just always had that in my mind. It wasn't just me anymore. Anything that I did, whether it was going out to the store, doing anything, even going to work, it was all just in the best interest of my wife and daughter. Just because we didn't know how to be parents in the beginning and we were going to figure it out together. And I think we did a really good job with Henley, and we're still doing a great job with Henley, and we love being parents. This time around, it's trying to spread your time equally or having it appear equal time management. I've always wanted to be a dad, and I love being a father. And with Henley, she completely changed my life, for the better. Everything that I do, I have her in mind. That's been my life now, is just making her, and, once Hendrix gets a little bit older, making sure that they are the happiest kids in the world. And I love hanging out with them. But then you also start to realize that you can't necessarily make your whole entire life your children, or if you have one child, your child, because your relationship will kind of suffer, being the husband and the wife. So for us, it was like putting alone time and putting dates on a schedule, which sounds weird, but we had to carve out time for that, because if we didn't, then we'd just get wrapped up in hanging out with Henley or, doing things around the house. We had to really start to schedule time as a husband and wife. And it's been a little difficult now, especially with two kids, just because you kind of go through the day-to-day stuff. And I'm fortunate to still have my job. So by the time that gets done, by the time we put Henley to bed, we have dinner. By the time I get some of the housework done, just to lighten the load for Jamie, now it's like midnight or 11:30, and you realize that you haven't spent time together or alone, or even as a family, because you've been just doing things constantly. And we just always have to remind myself to make sure that we are working on us as a husband and wife, even though we do make the family is a priority. But it's trying to keep the passion and the love alive and constant, and which is so important. It's so important for a marriage, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you guys have your podcast, and that's something that my husband and I, so we have one too. And that's like one of our date night things, is that we podcast together and carve out time for that. And I love the name of your guys' podcast. It cracks me up. Your Hot Marriage, Cool Parents.
Yes. Yes, which we always remind people, it's not all the time hot and cool, hot and cool. We're still kind of working on it, but it's something that we bond over, and it's funny because that's when I'll start to bring up a lot of the tougher conversations. I don't know why it's almost easier to talk through a microphone with my wife there than it is to just sit down on the couch and have a conversation about something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's, yeah. So, and I know right now, so you're saying, you're trying to find that balance. I mean, you guys are brand new with a new baby. Like, it's survival mode at the beginning and learning, and like your baby's learning how to be a human in this world. And you guys are learning to, keep two kids alive. So the balance is definitely going to come.
Yeah, and it's just you can't really prepare for something like a coronavirus.
Right.
We're home, we're quarantined. During the day, I would bring my daughter to preschool every day. And then that gave Jamie time at home to do her work. I would always go to my office Monday through Friday. And now it's just completely upside down, and it's trying to just manage all of that. So it just adds another degree of challenge for us. But we're handling it as I'm sure most families are.
Mm-hmm. And you've said a couple times that you've always wanted to be a dad. So you also said like you have a great relationship with your parents. Was there like maybe things instilled in you that you wanted to pass on to your children, and this is like why you wanted to be a dad?
My mom and dad were, and I'm the oldest, so I have a younger sister, and then my brother Matt is the youngest. They were part of everything that we did. They were our biggest champions. Anything we wanted to do, they helped with. I was very big into sports. I went to college on a baseball scholarship. So my dad was, he worked a job where he was able to be the coach of my little league team, our basketball team. He drove us. My mom drove us to practices and games. And it's just that connection and that opportunity, and just being able to experience the world as someone young and just being driven to something that I was really looking forward to and wanted to do. They made all of that possible. That's something that I always want to pass along as a father to my kids, is that, I want to give them the world. I also want them to, know the value of working hard for something. But also that Jamie and I are going to be there for them no matter what. And just making sure that they know they could come to us for anything and everything. We have a lot of love to give to them, but also we want to give them opportunities, and we want to give them things that they're going to enjoy. So as we start to figure out what that is, my daughter isn't so much into dolls and playing house or anything right now, but that could change. She and it's probably my influence, but she likes to throw the ball outside and kick and play with cars and trucks, and Jamie wants her to be a dancer, and but we're gonna we'll let her see where the wind takes her. She just loves to laugh, and she loves to play and dance, and my dad was very active with us, and I think I kind of value doing the same. So I'm not afraid to get up there and dance with my daughter and teach her some new dance moves, and do singing and coloring, and it's just being there is something that I want to make sure that my kids know that will always be there, and I'm always going to participate with what they want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just a couple more questions.
Sure.
What is some of the best fatherhood advice you've ever received?
So from my brother, who is the youngest in the family, but he gave me great advice, saying that what everybody tells you about parenting and what to do for kids, throw it out the window, because your kid is going to be unique. He or she is going to be completely different. And even in the beginning, it was like, well, what do I do as a new parent, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, he goes, your kid's going to be on your wife's boob for every couple hours. And they're not going to be able to do much. So change as many diapers as you can, birth the baby as much as you can, get your wife as many meals or anything, and it'll create kind of a happy home. And then once the kid starts to run and play and be able to move around and put together words, that's when parenting kind of starts. So that was always the best advice. And I think I had mentioned it before about, I really found comfort in knowing that there's not much advice, or, you can't really take a lot of advice. You can listen to it, obviously, and you can get some of the life lessons and things and examples that other people in your network or people in your family have had with their kids. But it's going to be your own experience, and you don't just find a happy life. You don't just find a happy kid. You make it. So with that in mind, you do as much as you can to make everything happy. And that was really it.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on. Where can people follow you, listen to your podcast, follow your family, all of that stuff?
Yes. Awesome. So Jamie and I are, right now we actually documented our home birth. So we were fortunate enough where Lifetime had asked the couples from Married at First Sight, all the couples that have been together since, the show started. They have a show, Couples Cam, which airs on Wednesday nights on Lifetime, where it documents 9 couples. We're one of them, but we had the whole entire home birth experience all the way through to giving birth to our son. So it'll be on there, but we also are vlogging about it on our YouTube page. So it's the same name as our podcast, which is Hot Marriage, Cool Parents. We do a lot on Instagram and social media. So it's just my name, at Doug Hehner, or my wife, at Jamie and Otis. And even my daughter and my son now have an Instagram page, which is nuts. But we share everything. And we're really starting to place a lot of priority on YouTube. So we're going to be documenting the whole experience and every good, bad, and ugly thing about parenting and being parents of 2. That's what you can expect.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience and your stories with us. And happy Father's Day.
Yes, thank you very much. And really excited to speak with you. So thank you for having me on.
I loved hearing that story. He was so much fun to talk to. I just love talking to these dads and how open they are. The conversations that I didn't expect to have, the things that they're saying. I didn't expect them to be that open about their experiences and talk about their fears and just the changes and everything. So just super, super grateful. Next week, I have Cheb on from Dancing with the Stars. He talks to us about his 2 daughters and his journey into fatherhood. And we just have such a great conversation. And then Vito and I are also going to be chatting a little bit. It was Father's Day this last weekend, and we're going to just talk to him a little bit and also answer some listener questions that we have coming in about the pregnancy, just kind of an up-to-date thing. I am now 31 weeks pregnant. So, I'll be 32 weeks, I guess, when the episode comes out. So it will just answering some questions about the pregnancy, how it's going, our birthing plans, the 3rd trimester, everything like that. So anyways, I'm so excited to continue this journey with you guys. If you are listening, make sure that you hit that subscription button. Also, make sure you check out our sponsors. When you support them, you're supporting this podcast. And a percentage of all the money that we receive on the podcast always gives back every single month. And so you are giving back by supporting our sponsors. Also, if you aren't following us on Instagram and Twitter, make sure you go to the Miraculous Mamas and check out our Facebook group. Also, make sure that you share this podcast with anybody that you know would love to hear it, and go on iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating and tell me why you love the podcast. When you leave reviews, it helps get the podcast more out there and more people to learn about it and know about it and join our community and family. Well, I hope everyone had an amazing Father's Day, and we will continue our Father's Day series next week. Stay healthy and well, and I love you guys.